To the Vatican now, where Pope Francis had announced that all priests will be given the power to forgive what he called the grave sin of abortion. Until now, only bishops have been allowed to absolve women who have abortions. Earlier, the Pope inducted 17 new cardinals at a ceremony in Rome. The new princes of the church, as cardinals are sometimes called, are mainly drawn from the developing world, Africa, Asia and Latin America, although 3 bishops from the United States were also promoted. So, with these new appointments, is there now a clearer sense of the kind of Roman Catholic hierarchy the Pope wants to see? Well, to discuss that shift in abortion policy from the Vatican, as well as the appointment of the so-called new princes of the Church, I'm joined now in the studio by Caroline Farrow, spokesperson for Catholic Voices. She's also a columnist with the Catholic Universe. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let's start with Pope Francis saying all priests will now be given the power to forgive what he called the grave sin of abortion. Tell us why this change now and what it means.
Well, before a couple of years ago, before the Jubilee Year of Mercy, in order for the sin of abortion to be forgiven, it was normally a 2-step process. So you confessed to your priest, who would then write to the bishop, who would then sort of formally absolve the person. But really in the West, certainly in the UK and in the US, most priests have already been given these faculties to forgive abortion because it's such a common problem. But during the Jubilee Year of Mercy, Pope Francis said, you know what, every single priest around the world needs to be given these faculties, you know, to make it easier for people to sort of come forward. And so what he's done now at the end of the Jubilee Year of Mercy is to say, okay, this is permanent. And this is to encourage women who, you know, the Catholic Church recognises that abortion doesn't just affect the unborn child, but it hurts women too. So it's to encourage people to come forward and have reconciliation. So
does that mean that Catholic women will no longer be automatically excommunicated from the Church, those who sort of undergo a termination?
If you go through with a termination or abortion, yes, you will still incur that automatic excommunication. But once you go to confession and you see a priest and you seek reconciliation, that will then be lifted.
Right. Let's talk about the induction of these new cardinals from across the globe. I mean, does the Pope want to see a hierarchy of a much broader range? I mean, some of those places like Papua New Guinea have never had a cardinal.
That's right. I think he does. And this very much builds on his choice of cardinals in 2014. So this time round, he's gone to Papua New Guinea, the Republic of Central Africa. He's gone to Bangladesh, Mauritius. And back in 2014, you know, he even appointed a cardinal for the Pacific island of Tonga, as well as Vietnam, Thailand, Nicaragua. And this is all about reflecting the broad nature of Catholics throughout the globe.
Does that, though, suggest that the centre of the Catholic Church is shifting and its growth is actually taking place in the developing world?
Well, I think so, yes. I mean, this, since the 1960s and 70s, you know, the stranglehold, really, that Italians and Europeans had on the Vatican has been loosened, and they have opened it up more. But what's interesting about this is that they haven't gone to other traditional centres of Catholicism. It's all over the world. But yeah, I mean, I think when you look at, say, Africa, for example, you know, the population of Catholics in Africa has trebled since 1980. You know?
Well, of course, not everyone is from the developing world. I mean, Cardinal Joseph Tobin was until recently the Archbishop of Indianapolis, Indiana, where he welcomed a family of Syrian refugees, a move that was much opposed by the then governor of Indiana, Mike Pence, who's now the president-elect. I mean, is the Pope choosing people who are taking a particular stance in the current US political climate?
Well, I think it's interesting because, yeah, the last 3 Americans to be promoted to cardinal or created a cardinal. So you've got Joseph Tobin, you've got Kevin Farrell, and you've got Kevin Farrell, and you've, sorry, his name's completely escaped me, I apologise.
Yeah, okay.
So you've got 3 bishops who are, you know, very centre-left, actually, and I think that's and also take up quite a liberal position as well. So I think Francis is perhaps sending a signal the way that he wishes to direct the American Church, because these cardinals are going to have a say in the, you know, American church policy and in sort of promoting and bringing up new bishops through the ranks.
Very enlightening. Caroline Farrow from Catholic Voices, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
thinking of banking